We go again. After a hard-fought victory midweek, we turn our attention back to the Premier League with a home fixture against Burnley. We are aiming to win 5 consecutive league games for the first time since 2019, but Sean Dyche's side will prove a very tricky test this afternoon. It won't be easy, and we've got a lot to kick in before kick-off in around about an hour's time, so make sure you join us on Matchday Live. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. Yeah, big one this afternoon. Chelsea at home in the Premier League against Burnley in the company of Zach and Sam. Boys, are we good?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, feeling very well, mate. Feeling very good, thank you. Feeling very good. We've got an international fan as well, which will be joined by Zubin, who's going to join us from the UAE, which can be very cool. Let's have a little look at what's coming up on the show this afternoon then. And yeah, like I said, it's going to be a busy one. Team news will be here very, very soon. It's the first place to get your team news for Chelsea Burnley this afternoon. We've got the social, which we're going to cross to in around 10 minutes' time. Then warm-ups live from Stamford Bridge in the company of Jason Cundy and Ben Andrews. Live commentary of Chelsea Burnley in the Premier League. And 5 o'clock this afternoon, a big old reaction on the Pulse. So hopefully 3 points in the bag. We'll find out, boys.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Let's go straight into team news then, shall we? Because it is here, and this is the team that Thomas Tuchel has selected for this afternoon. In goal, Eduard Mendy, a back three of Andreas Christensen, Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger. Ben Chilwell one side and Reece James the other. Jorginho captains the side alongside N'Golo Kanté in the middle. And then up front, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Kai Havertz and Ross Barkley, three-pronged attack. Ooh. Yeah, feeling good with that? Feeling comfortable?
Yeah.
Zach, do you like that?
Confident. Yeah, I mean, Thomas Tuchel does what Thomas Tuchel does, changes it up, and I'm not expecting it. Ross Barkley is straight into the lineup. Obviously, Mount, I think, is just coming back from that kind of toothache,
wisdom teeth.
I think, obviously, a couple of boys played as well in the Champions League. We've played a lot of games now, so it's about trying to manage people's minutes and make sure they don't get that near that like red zone that Thomas Tuchel talks about so much. And Ross Barkley has been given his chance, and it's about taking it.
It's exactly that, isn't it, Zach? And Sam. Like Zach's saying, Ross Barkley has got a brilliant opportunity this afternoon. He's impressed when he's been given the opportunity, and Thomas Tuchel clearly trusts every player in the squad that when we see changes like this, we're not surprised that players are coming in because they've earned the opportunity to start.
Yeah, there was a lot of speculation when you were seeing Barkley still in and around the squad and him getting minutes. Is this just to, you know, make him feel a part of it? But Tuchel really does believe in his ability, and he's proven it every time he's got an opportunity. He's made the pre-assists or the assist to certain goals, and he looks like he's with it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's just getting minutes for the sake of it. So I think today it's just about proving that he belongs in this side, and hopefully get some goals and assists. Chelsea
are on an excellent run at the moment, Zach, and like Sam's saying there, players are playing on merit. You know, we've got such a balanced and well sort of dressed squad, as it were, that there are so many opportunities you can bring in. You look at all across the pitch, there are players that you think, oh, I wonder how he's not starting. Actually, I wonder how he is starting because he's played so well and he's keeping other players out of it. The squad depth that we've got, I mean, the bench today as well. You know, Christian Pulisic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, we've got Ross Barkley starting the game, but Saul on the bench, Mason Mount back on the bench in contention as well. Ziyech as well. So many options.
The list goes on, and when you're in a Premier League battle like this season is, when you've got Manchester City blowing teams out of the water, Liverpool blowing teams out of the water, very much kind of front three of us, City and Liverpool, who are all doing so well, and essentially chasing us down as we are at the top. I mean, it depends what happens in the United City game. It looks like City are going to win. But yeah, when you've got teams like that doing that, you need this depth. And actually, at times, in a 38-game season, if you are lucky, like maybe when Liverpool were 2 seasons ago, and they don't really get any bad injuries, you can be okay. But the majority of the time, you will pick up injuries. We've already picked up injuries. And that's where your squad depth can really take you on to that next level of putting a good title challenge in.
That's exactly it, isn't it? You know, like Zach's saying, we've been quite fortunate with injuries. We've had a couple this year, but because of the squad that we've got, injuries they're not really causing too much of an issue so far. I mean, we're talking about a team at the moment that's still without Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner, yet we've scored 10 goals in 2 games in the last 2 games, and we're coming into this game in really good form as well. But I suppose defensively is the area as well, because last season and the season before, Reece James and Cesar Azpilicueta constantly competing for the right wing back spot. Same on the left hand side with Ben Chilwell and Marcos Alonso. Whenever the players play, given an opportunity, they play so well that you think, oh, the other one will struggle to get back in. Yet we might be in the same position in 3 or 4 weeks that Aspie's starting at right wing back and he has a storm of 3 games on the spin, and you're thinking, how's Reece going to get his chance? We're so blessed with those defensive options.
Yeah, the harmony in the defence right now is so good because it's like they all have the objective of keeping clean sheets. You see Mendy, you know, orchestrating the defence, and anyone that comes in, it doesn't matter if it's just Rudiger, Christensen or Aspie, it's anyone that comes in. We saw Sarr, and we've seen how good Chalobah has been as well. So it's like literally no matter who plays there, they understand the objective. We want to keep clean sheets. Defence wins leagues. We've seen it in multiple seasons. So I think the fact that the harmony is there within them, there's not that bad blood if someone else comes in or someone comes out. It's just we've got an objective. Whoever's Tuchel trusts to do that is who he's going to pick.
There are so many different options, aren't there? Certainly only one option when we were talking about defensively that we'd want to speak to, and that is, of course, the boys, Jason Kanté and Ben Andrews up in the gantry for us. Jason, I know that you've been in many a back four, back five, especially playing for this football club as well. At the moment, is there such a thing as a first choice?
Thank you very much, guys. Is there such a I don't know. I mean, in terms of... I think, that personally, it's the team you're playing against will dictate your back three, your back four, your back five. We played the back five against Manchester City. I think we got that wrong. We got that wrong. We see Manchester United do something similar right now. Personally, I think that our back three is... sorry, excuse me one second. I think it's a back three that we play under Tuchel right now. And it's about who you play in those positions against what opposition. For example, today we're playing against Chris Wood, Burnley. We know what they're going to do. We know how they're going to play. We know the system they're going to play. We know what they're going to do as a team. Very different against a team like Manchester City. City keep the ball on the ground. They want to try and pass you out of possession. They want to try and grind you down in a different way. So I think it's often overused, he doesn't know his best formation, his best team. There is no such thing for me in the modern game anymore. That's gone. You went back, 25 years ago, there was your best 11. There still is a best 11. We all have our own opinion. But you will play your best 11 against a certain opposition, and that opposition might be different to the one that you're picking. So I think that things change. In terms of the players, there are certain players that still get themselves into a team, right? So right now, you're probably going to play N'Golo Kanté in your best 11. I'm guessing.
When fit,
right?
though.
When fit, of course, when fit. But the point I'm making is that when you've got someone that is so good in any formation, in any shape, against any opposition, does he start? If the answer to that question is yes, then you put him in that team. And the reason I've chosen N'Golo is because he ticks all of those boxes.
In terms of that back three, folks, the one that really hasn't been missing out ever is Tony Rudiger. He missed the Brentford game, but he's played all the other league matches, whereas you have seen Thiago Silva in and out, partly because of travelling and Andreas, and partly because of the odd niggle as well. But Tony is the one that is pretty much always there, and it might be Sarr or Chalobah filling in for one of them, or indeed Aspie, who misses out in one of the 4 changes today. The wing-backs changing from midweek, Reece and Ben Chilwell in for Alonso and Aspie. N'Golo for Loftus-Cheek, I thought was interesting. I thought might want to see another go at Loftus-Cheek, perhaps running at Burnley to break things up. And then Ross Barkley for Hakim Ziyech. That's the interesting one, because he's not going to play wide right, is he? So
let's look at Ziyech. It hasn't quite lived up yet to what we kind of hoped. There have been flashes. He scored the goal, the big important goal midweek. Callum Hudson-Odoi was the one that actually made the goal. But yeah, maybe he's looking for something different. Maybe looking for a bit of physicality. But Ross will bring you that. Ross against certain opposition, and Burnley are in that category. Ross can shine.
And is there something to do with it that he's going to presume, as we all do, like you say, there's no mystery with Burnley. Sometimes the team comes here and you think, well, I wonder if they'll do that or will they do that? But you know what Burnley will do. So Chelsea are going to have the ball. Therefore, the wing-backs are going to be high. So Reece James can fulfil that wide right position, and Ross doesn't need to be a wide, in a sort of 3-4-3. He doesn't really have to be the wide on the right bloke. He's not going to be hanging on the wing, is he?
No, he's not. He's not.
Because Reece can do that.
Reece can do that, and that's... You do not want to kind of suffocate the space that Reece wants to exploit. So, yes, I expect... But Ross is a very intelligent footballer. Ross likes to play inside. It's not often you see Ross on the flanks. He don't like doing that. Ross is better in the middle where there's a lot of chaos going around him. He's a cool head. He's got a brilliant footballing brain in his shoulders, and he can actually make good use of the space. Because they think about the way that Burnley are going to play. It's going to be a 4-4-2 or a version of, right? We should outnumber them in the middle of the park. What they will be very wary of, and rightly so, are the wing backs pushing on. So you expect them to be looking to make sure that we don't get balls in the box. If we do, we're playing into their hands in some ways, really, because they like to defend balls. They've got big monsters at the back. They like to deal with those crosses. Pope is very good at coming for crosses as well. So it'll be interesting. It's a little bit of a battle going on in there, but Ross's position is going to be fascinating. We'll watch that, how he plays. Kanté coming in. The physicality, if you think about what those balls were looking to get in behind us, kind of surprised we've not gone with a little bit more height in the middle of the park.
Well, that is the thing. You know it's going to be congested. There's no point in high balls coming in because there isn't Lukaku to it. I know Havertz isn't short, but, you know, Callum, Ross Barkley, Havertz, maybe someone breaking from midfield. There aren't big blokes. So you feel like Burnley will keep it pretty compact. You're going to see this claret and blue wall, aren't you, along the 18-yard line? And basically Ross is going to be in the middle of that traffic trying to maybe be a late runner through. It could be stodgy this for a while until or unless Chelsea get the opener.
And they picked up their first win last time out as well. So they've been a side that have been in games. They tend to be in games. It's not often you see Burnley get smacked. Not really. You know, it has happened. But generally, they've got a fighting chance of staying in games with an hour to go. An hour gone and half an hour to go. So that's what they're trying to do. It'll be increments of the game. Can you get to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, hour? That's what they'll try and play here. But look, we should have too much, Ben, whatever way you play it.
You would think so, and you would hope so. We never really have an injury crisis at Chelsea where 4 or 5 regulars are out at the same time. For once over the last couple of weeks, it has happened. If it had to happen at a time in between the international breaks of October and November, would definitely be it, given the fixture list. Just negotiate this one, and we've got a couple of weeks, and it's Leicester away and it's Man United, and hopefully 1 or 2 of those options will be back. Just one more game to get past. Back to you.
Brilliant, as always, boys. Thank you very much for that. Ben Andrews and Jason Cundy going to be on commentary duties for us in a little while as well. Obviously, a lot of talk, like the boys are saying there, about how to negotiate yourself through this little spell, Sam, because it's tough, isn't it? It's tough to get through that little spell where we're expected to win games. You don't really get anything more than what's expected of you if you win these 6 or 7 that we've had in that time between the 2 international breaks. Today is the final hurdle to get over, like Ben was saying. I suppose that's the important part, is not looking at how well we've done in the last couple of weeks, but focusing on just getting the job done today, and then you move again. Yeah,
and I think that's been the mentality of the squad. When you hear Tuchel coming out in press conferences and the players, when they're kind of being edged to talk about how well they're doing and what it means for the future, it's like, no, every game at a time, we're just going into the next game, and that's going to be the most important game. And today it's going to be Burnley, and like we saw the record there, they can cause us problems. So the team's going to know that he set them up to counter attack anything that they have to throw at us, and hopefully we can get the result. Absolutely right. Well, we are also joined by our overseas fan this afternoon, which is Zubin from the UAE. Mate, how are you? You well?
I'm good.
How are you feeling about the game this afternoon? Oh, I think we might need to sort the audio out. Oh, there you go. I think that's fixed now. How are you, mate? You good?
Yep, I'm good.
So, obviously, your pre-match preparations, what are they like for you?
Today I was expecting Ziyech in front instead of Barkley, but it's not strange. Barkley has been proven in the last 2 games which he had chances, and I think it's a good time he can show off today and create some chances for our strikers to score the goals.
But Burnley are always a very well-disciplined, sort of set-up team. They're usually quite difficult to break down. You think maybe Thomas Tuchel has thought about that?
Yeah, Burnley usually is a team who plays like parking the bus in defence, so it will be hard for us to score. But still, with this lineup, I think.
And clubbing Kerr.
Oh, yeah, we're just sorting out a few technical issues there, boys. We'll be back with you just a second, Zoom. We'll just sort that out for you, okay, mate? Is that like he's saying? You know, we know what Burnley are about. We know what to predict from them. Really, we've got to kind of. I suppose that the patience word comes back in, doesn't it? We've got to be patient again.
I have a weird love for Burnley. I don't know what it is. I love the fact that, you know, whilst football is moving into this free-flowing, beautiful game, a passing, dominating game, Burnley said, you know what, screw that. You know, we're sticking back to our 4-4-2. I love it. Mike Bassett style, brilliant. Look, I think Burnley are are a tough team to break down. They can be broken down really well. Last season we saw Hakim Ziyech be really, really good at that creative side of it and helping us out in that way. And when it's a Burnley side that has Ben Mee and Tarkowski both there at the back, they're even stronger. I think those two as a centre-back partnership at times have been fantastic over the years. We've seen what they're like. However, Chelsea have the players to break down a Burnley. Like, Chelsea have been in this situation before where they are playing, and the majority of the games at times are playing against teams that are letting them have the ball, letting them sit deep and trying to get you on the counter-attack. And we have to be aware of Burnley and Cornet up top as well, and Chris Wood, how dominant he can be in the air. But, I mean, I back the squad that Tuchel's proven. I think Barkley can have a really good game here as well. We know how good he can be on the ball and make a bit of magic. So I think we'll be all right.
Absolutely right. Well, obviously, you can have your say and get involved with this. We'll play Predictor on the 5th stand-up. If you haven't played this before, the deadline is up until 5 minutes before kick-off. You've got to predict the first score, amount of possession that Chelsea will have, the final score, a load of really cool prizes that you can win not only each and every match day, but monthly, and there's a big end-of-season prize as well. Well worth getting involved. It's completely free to play, so go and have a look on the 5th stand-up. So, boys, usually we'll go through this together. I'm going to ask you specifics. So, Sam, I'll come to you first then with full-time score.
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0. Okay, comfortable 2-0?
I think we'll score just at the end of the first half, getting into it, and then early second half.
Okay, and Zach, possession-wise and also first goal scorer?
63%.
Okay.
63.
Very specific.
Exactly. Well, look, just wait and see. All right? And I'll say first goal scorer for you boys to help you out, Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
Kai Havertz.
I need that.
I've got him as captain again. Right?
Really?
Yeah. I've done it. I'm sticking with it, Kai. I'm sticking with the faith. Obviously, quite a lot of reaction to do with Chelsea's defensive work, which is rightly so. So we'll have a little chat about that in a second after we cross to the social. So you know how it works by now. We've got a load of things to tick off, a load of things to get through before kick-off, including the trending topics. We've also got, in case you missed it a little bit later on as well, which is kind of a lighter look across social media. And now we are starting with a chat about Chelsea's defence, okay? Because defensively, we've been brilliant, right? We're on track to break pretty much every record in the book, which is staggering.
Which we set half of them ourselves, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. When you think about the amount we do, but the truth of the matter is, we go again because we keep having to do the same job every week. We keep doing the same thing, which is right to do, and that is our hashtag, which is we go again, because we've seen that time and time again. You put up a brilliant defensive performance with Chelsea. It's like fantastic, superb. Let's replicate that again. Let's do that again. Quite a lot of social media reaction as well for our defensive work this week, which you've seen on social media. Which is this one: no club in Europe's top 5 leagues has conceded less goals this season than Chelsea. Best defence on the planet. That is.
Is that it? 3?
Yeah. Staggering, isn't it? Chelsea's defence. That's a clever one. It's actually a madness that Chelsea have only conceded 3 goals a quarter into the season. If we stay at this rate, we beat our Premier League record of 15 goals conceded. 15 goals in a season, and we're talking about potentially breaking that.
That's crazy.
Staggering, isn't it? This one as well. Can see this Chelsea defence breaking that 15 goals conceded in the season record.
And what a Chelsea defence that season was, right? Like, if I'm right, Carvalho, Kerr.
This is Joe Cole, right? Obviously, Chelsea legend. Really like Joe Cole as a pundit as well. He's fantastic. Chelsea will win the league. I'm throwing it out there now. They're winning the league. They're so strong. They're not conceding goals. They're the strongest defence by a mile, and we've seen the importance of having a strong defence over the years. We've been blessed, Sam, with, like Zach was just saying there, we've been so blessed with defensive stability and structure, and so many legends in that position. John Terry being the main one that we think of, when you think about that rock, that ever-present rock. We're now in a position now where we don't have, like Jason said, a specific starting 3 or 5, yet we're so strong all the time. Trevoh Chalobah being, I suppose, the main one that we're going to talk about, because he's all of a sudden been in the fold, and a player that was out on loan last year, and many didn't expect to be in the first team picture. Yeah,
and that's why it's so good, because there's like a balance of experience and youth, and you can see the way Tuchel uses them both in games as well. But it's like, we've seen in Chelsea games this season, they take it personally. Like when Mendy has to save a shot or they have to make a mad challenge, it's like, why did they have to do that? We need to do better. Do you know what I mean? And it's so good to see that as a fan, because you know that when you go into games, regardless of if you have a tough time up top where you're not creating that many chances, you know your defence is going to keep that clean sheet. And we've been blessed this season with keeping so many. And it doesn't seem like all of the tweets and the comments about us winning the league and breaking records, it doesn't seem like they're pushing it, because you're seeing the games, you're understanding that every game we're getting better and better.
It's been so like you said, it's a breath of fresh air to see players enjoy defending, enjoy doing it. And none more so than Trevoh Chalobah as well. Obviously signed a new 5-year deal this week. Fantastic that we know how much he means to the club. I mean, the goal that he scored against Palace, that the goal that he scored against Palace is just it's a stunning goal, but it's the reaction, isn't it? It's the reaction afterwards. This is our hashtag, obviously Chalobah signs, but it's the reaction afterwards of how much it means to play for this club.
Mate, it's not easy to become a professional footballer, for one. It's not easy to become a professional footballer at Chelsea Football Club, and then it's even harder when they've just won the Champions League to do so, right? Having been unbelievable defensively. And Trevoh Chalobah has come in, and I think you'd ask anyone at the beginning of the season, pre-season, will Chalobah be starting for Chelsea during this season? I think a lot of them would have said, we'll probably expect a loan move out. He's done really well, and so maybe that one next step, the last loan move, and then he's in the squad. He's obviously come in, impressed Thomas Tuchel so much with his ability to play out with the ball. He's not tall. He's not short either. He's half decent physically as well, and can defend fantastically well. He reads the game fantastically, and he's also can play midfield as well. Like, there's so many assets to his game. And he surprised everyone with the level he's playing at. He is a Premier League defender for one, but a title-challenging Premier League defender, and it's really, really impressive to see. And he deserves what he's got. That 5-year deal is really, really impressive. He's committed his long-term future to Chelsea, and I think there was a lot of questions when Thomas Tuchel came in. Obviously, we saw a lot of youngsters come through with Lampard. Would Tuchel be the same? And I think he's answered it right here by bringing through Trevoh.
Absolutely right. 10 games, 2 goals already for Trevoh Chalobah this season as well. Quite a lot of social media reaction this week from him signing his new deal. A lot of Chelsea fans buzzing, rightly so. Trevoh Chalobah has just signed an extension of his deal with Club Chelsea. The new contract's for 5 years. That's a big statement as well, isn't it? A 5-year deal to really show that that there's trust, that he's still developing, but he's very much a part of it. 22-year-old Trevoh Chalobah has had a season to remember. Already, that moment there, his goal is the one, isn't it? Where
it was beautiful.
Just a stunning moment. First, some fans were back in the stadium fully for a Premier League game. One of our own scoring on his Premier League debut. Just incredible scenes. And exactly that, one of our own, Trevoh Chalobah 2026. There's that video that's gone out this week, Sam, as well on the Chelsea website. And if you haven't seen it, please, I implore you to watch it, because it's one of those that pull at your heartstrings when you see him as a young boy that's been playing for Chelsea for so long. You see how much it means to him. As fans, we don't have a bias, of course, to any player, because as soon as they wear Chelsea, you love them for being that. But when there is someone that's been there for so long, come through the academy, knows what it means, knows what it's like to make those loan moves out, for people to doubt whether you've got the ability to play at this level, and comes in. We had Carlo Cudicini before the start of the season, and he was raving about him. He was saying how good he is on the ball, how comfortable he is, how much he fits this system. He's just gone above and beyond the expectation of everyone, probably except those around him that see him every day, because they know how good he is. We haven't been given that opportunity until now.
And that's the thing, it's like Zach said, it's so beautiful, because like you said, knowing that he went through the system and he had to work his way up, and it's not like, obviously he's been getting his opportunity, but that first game against Palace, like, there's a lot of pressure. Like the fans are in here, you're hearing your name being sung, like, that there's players on the bench that could take your position next week, but he's so focused on just each game, and you can see he's not letting the hype get to him. He signed a new contract now, so that's going to be a burden taken off of him. So now he can just literally focus. And he's got such good defenders that are older than him in the squad that can teach him so much. You've seen Rudiger's taken him under his wing. You've got Thiago Silva as well. Even Christensen, he's seen come through the ranks as well. So they've been on a similar journey together. So I think he's in perfect hands with Tuchel and the defenders next to him.
He's been so good, isn't he? Like Sam was saying, there's so many players around him to learn from, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, no, he really, really is. And I think there was obviously talk about Chelsea were interested possibly in a defender in the summer. And Trevoh came through and showed, lads, you don't need one. And he's been brilliant with it. I mean, there's so many levels to his game. He's got maybe the perfect modern-day centre-back to learn from in Thiago Silva, who is unbelievable on the ball, reads the game so well, and Trevoh can kind of can take aspects from his game. He's got one of the most physically physically dominant centre-back in the league in Rudiger, who really has taken him under his wing and showing him the ropes and learning from. And he's got the leadership of Azpilicueta, who he sees week in, week out, and another one. He's in the best place, as you said, to kind of learn, to mould his game to fit Chelsea, to fit Thomas Tuchel, and for the future to come. I mean, he's really come out of not necessarily nowhere, because I think a lot of Chelsea players knew, but I just think everyone maybe expected it to be next season, not necessarily this season, and it's been fantastic to see.
Absolutely right. Speaking of Thomas Tuchel, let's hear from the manager himself.
Best points total to the start of the season since they won the title in 14-15. You're also 7 games unbeaten in all competitions. So how happy is the head coach?
Yeah, but I refuse a little bit to be too happy before matches, because before matches I'm focused and I'm absolutely aware of the danger and of the quality of the opponent. It will be a tough match at the end of this 7-game spell in between the international breaks. And there's a lot to do for us. There's a lot of questions that we need answers for, because Burnley deserve to be better in the table, and we need to be on our top level to have a chance to win.
The 4 teams below you all play each other this weekend. So is this important this afternoon that you maintain that bit of daylight between you and them?
Well, it's always important, and it's so tight that any draw, any loss can have a slight switch in at the moment. We try to close the gap in terms of consistency to City and Liverpool. What they showed the last years was almost incredible. So we have our homeworks to do, and we are focusing on every single step there is to take, and on the process in between, because we cannot lose the focus if we look too far ahead. And the next match is always the most important, because there is no other match, and it's today against Burnley.
You've taken the opportunity today to give Ross Barkley his first Premier League start of the season.
Yeah.
What's prompted that decision?
It came, I think he deserves it. It's as simple as that, by performance and by attitude. Ross was very strong when he came into our games against Southampton. He turned things around. He helped turn things around against Newcastle, and he stepped in. So it's the moment he deserves, and he has hopefully the freshness, the legs, to not have too many games in his legs so far, and hopefully so he sees it as a big chance to step up and show his qualities. We like what we see, and I like a bit of a fresh energy is always good at the end of a long run.
Thomas, have a good afternoon. Thanks.
The type of manager, isn't he, that you believe in, you trust when he says.
Yeah. He could tell me to run off a cliff and I'd do it. Honestly, for anything. He could tell me anything and I'd do it for him. His man management, honestly, baffles me.
Phenomenal.
Because I don't think there are many managers out there, maybe Pep Guardiola and maybe Jurgen Klopp, who can manage a squad as big as Chelsea's are, with so many star names, and keep everyone happy. Like right now, I don't think really a player can be that annoyed with their game time, because they're getting minutes, they're getting opportunities.
Well, let's talk about a player that he's definitely made a big impact on this season, then, in Reece James, because what a performance last week. Two goals away at Newcastle off the back of a goal against Norwich the week before. He's absolutely flying at the moment, Sam.
He's just... You know what it is with Reece James? Like we've been talking about Reece James for years in other group chats and stuff, and saying this guy is going to be the best in the world in his position and all of these things. And now this year, it's almost as if he's kind of heard us. Like he's like, I'm going to prove to the world that I am one of the best in this position, and now I can get forward, I can defend. He's so strong on the ball. He's decision making when he's in the final third. Tuchel was telling him that he told him that he should get into the box more, and then in the second half you see him get in the box, and he's the shot that he has on him. It's just like he was like a striker when he was playing under 10s or something. He's so comfortable in every position, and you kind of want that from that position specifically, because they've got to do so much. I think it's underestimated how hard a right wing back or wing back has to play. They have to get forward, they have to defend, they have to make sure that they're being covered in so many different positions. So he's getting so many different instructions as well. So he's literally getting better and better. And even with Azpilicueta being the person that's kind of challenging him, we saw how good Aspi was midweek. It's so good for him to know that it's not just one game, and like we've said, it's not just one game you have to perform in, it's constantly, and he's proven that.
Absolutely right, and he's that type of player as well, Zach, isn't he? That the right wing-back role, like Sam was saying, is so important in a modern game. It's almost you have to be a complete footballer. In years gone by, and I'm doing so many former players such a disservice, I'm really sorry, but it feels like now, right wing-back, you have to be the ability on the ball of a centre midfielder, you have to have the awareness of a winger, you have to have the defensive capabilities of a centre-half, you have to be able to do all these things. Reece James is another one that he seems to tick every box. Technically, he's phenomenal. He's strong, he's powerful, he's athletic, he reads the game exceptionally well. And there doesn't seem to be an area where he has a weakness, yet he still keeps getting better.
You're right. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think that right back position now is much more evolved than it used to be. I think maybe back in the day, Cafu was maybe what you could look at as the traditional right back nowadays. I mean, it explains all that Reece James spent half his time on loan at Wigan in centre midfield. Like, that's the level of a footballer you need to be to play that right back position or right wing back position at times, because you are bombing forward, you are contributing to the attack and helping out the defence. You've got to do it all. You've got to be able to dribble. You've got to be able to cross and pass really well. Like, essentially, you have to be a complete footballer in every degree, from defensive to an attacking state. And so I think Reece James has really come on, and obviously his first season within the Chelsea squad under Lampard, and he was really developing as well. Last season really took a step forward, especially since we moved to this right wing back formation. And this year, I think he's challenging for being the best right back in the world at times. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold's probably up there as well, and he's within that argument of saying that he's the best in the world. I could completely agree.
We bring back Zubin, who's our overseas caller today, mate. Sorry about that. I think we're all sorted now. I think we're all good. We're just having a little chat about Reece James. What have you made of Reece this season?
Reece James, he's one of the best now in our position in the right wing back. I like his runs towards box, his scoring goals is obviously the best. Reece James, as Zach said earlier, that the defense stability by the signing of Thiago Silva last year has changed a different way in our Chelsea team.
And his 2 goals last week as well.
The best.
His 2 goals last week were fantastic, weren't they?
Yep. Tuchel has improved our defense in a really, really good way, so that it's like just 3 goals considered in a quarter of the season. It's obviously unbelievable record for me.
It's been fantastic. And Ben Chilwell on the other side as well. Obviously, you know, it was only 2-3 weeks ago.
One of my favourite players, huh?
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, well, again, fantastic to talk to you about him, because he's been so good this season. And another one that started the season not starting.
When I play nowadays, I'm using the number 21 on my jersey.
Well, you could talk us through then. What's impressed you most about Ben this season?
Ben, his stability is more better than Alonso. He always goes up front and supports the back same way as James do on the right side. So Alonso, when he comes back, he's a bit slow. So the defense, it's always being a risky thing when Alonso starts.
I think
it's not like Alonso is bad, but the way Alonso come back for a defense when there is an attack, it's too slow for us. That makes an instability in the defense.
I think
in my opinion.
I think the system in general is it suits certain players, doesn't it, Zach? You know, we've seen, especially like last season, we saw Marcos Alonso. What he gives you is that comfortability on the left-hand side. Ben Chilwell, I suppose, took a little bit of a longer time to learn the system because he hadn't played in a 5 before. But you know, you see, not only is it Chelsea's benefit, but England's benefit as well. Not that I'm that bothered about England at the moment, of course, but it benefits the club and country system, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because it's not an easy thing to go from a left back to a left wing back. There's a lot more an attacking side to it, and as much as we did say, like, okay, you have to be a more complete footballer, like we said with Reece James, but also it's about adapting your positional sense of where you're going to be in that squad, on that pitch, and how far up the pitch you can be at a certain point. And so for Ben, like, he's really had to learn that, and he did it really quickly. Like, that's not an easy thing to do, and he's done it very, very quickly to go and take that left-hand side and at times be a left winger. And yeah, he's adapted really, really well.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. And obviously, we know that there are certain players in the squad that have to do different roles. Someone that's done a number of roles this season and impressed in all of them has been Callum Hudson-Odoi. Jason's been taking a closer look.
Callum's had 10 appearances this season, 2 from the bench. With the injuries to Timo and Lukaku, he really has taken his opportunity. What's he good at? Well, he's brilliant at driving at defences. 1v1, he's a nightmare to come up against. I felt at times, perhaps, he was a bit predictable coming onto his right foot. We're going to see examples now where that much has changed. Now look at this, he recognises the defender's given a bit of space. He can turn, he's not going to pass back, takes some responsibility. Right, I'll have some of that. Drives on the outside. So quick, so direct.
Just having a few technical issues there with the sound on that one. But, I mean, the analysis that Jason done, we spoke to Jason earlier in the office, and he was telling us about how he's so impressed with the way that he can go both ways with Callum. Is kind of, I suppose, that the challenge that Thomas Tuchel set out to him at the start of the season was, show me. Show me what we all know you're capable of. And he's been doing that on a consistent basis, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's taken heed to that instruction, and so many people are talking about what he should do, what's next for his career. But Chelsea and Tuchel have said to him, you're important to this squad and we want you to be a part of it, but there's these certain things that we want you to get better at, evolve in the way that you play, and there's nothing wrong with that because he is so young. And I think the opportunity he's getting now, playing in his favoured position, he's taking it. You saw in that Norwich game, he was going at players, he was finding the final third passes, but it's constant. Sometimes in the past, you might say that during the game, you could see him like, it's not that he's not in it, but it's almost as if he fades out. And then now, it's like it's constant. It's a constant energy that you're seeing. And you're seeing with a lot of the players now, because the competition's so high, it's like you know that this opportunity, you might not get it next week. So if I do get it this week, I'm going to try to do the best that I can to, you know, prove a point.
And there's a certain amount of maturity as well, Zach. You know, we know that he's been he's decided to perhaps stay with Chelsea instead of going to play for the under-21s, etc. For England. There's that maturity that shows that many players don't get that until their late 20s. You forget how long Callum Hudson-Odoi has been playing at the top level already, and he's such a young player. So I think there's such a good perspective to look at as the overall package of Callum Hudson-Odoi, his development, the way that he's tracked, but also the decisions that he's making and the growth that he's seen as a person and as a player.
Yeah. I mean, to make that kind of decision and say, look, to the national team, I right now really want to focus on my career at the club. Like, I'm in at the moment, I don't want to ruin any chances of this. I want to make sure I push this further, and hopefully that will be at the betterment of the national team as well later on down the line. He has taken his chance. I think a lot of Chelsea fans have said, just wait for that chance for Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he will take it. And so far, he has. Especially now playing on that left wing, because I think Thomas Tuchel said as much as well, that he kind of felt bad at times putting Callum on the right wing back, because essentially doing everyone else a favour. Like, it's not his natural position. It's a position that is very hard to do. He did do very well, especially at the beginning of last season as well, the tracking back. And I especially remember a certain game, might have been Wolves, where he went to left wing back and he was the last man and made the tackle that could have led to a goal. So he has really chipped in hard for the team here. And now he's being rewarded with time in his more favoured position, left wing, and we're seeing him be more consistent with the level that we know he can reach. Absolutely right.
We're going to try that piece again with Jason Cundy and Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Callum's had 10 appearances this season, 2 from the bench. With the injuries to Timo and Lukaku, he really has taken his opportunity. What's he good at? Well, he's brilliant at driving at defences. 1v1, he's a nightmare to come up against. I felt at times, perhaps, he was a bit predictable coming onto his right foot. We're going to see examples now of how that much has changed. Now look at this. He recognises the defender's given a bit of space. He can turn. He's not going to pass back. Takes some responsibility. Right, I'll have some of that. Drives on the outside. So quick, so direct. Picks out a pass, and in the end, this led to Chelsea's first goal of the game. Brilliant finish from Mason. He can also score. Brilliant pass from Cover. Bit of composure now. Good first touch, opens up his body and slides it past the incoming Krul. Newcastle and Norwich set up very similarly, both 5 at the back, not a lot of space in which to get in behind. But once you get beyond the midfield, again, he recognises now, I can be direct. He's got the overlapping run of Chilwell, drives towards their defence. In there, it's a beautifully weighted pass. Nothing came of it on that occasion. Again, picks the ball up. Look where he is, driving at the heart defence, direct. Committing defenders, cuts inside on this occasion. In the end, it could have been a better finish from Ziyech. But this is the goal. Look where he is now. Look at the place. There's not a lot of things around him to support, but he drives. I mentioned earlier about perhaps being a bit predictable. Not on this occasion. Trusts his left foot. It's a brilliant cross towards the far post, which sets up again the all-important first goal of the game. Superb finish from Reece. And again, the first goal of the game is so important. Do not underestimate how good this is. If this was De Bruyne or Hazard, we'd wax lyrical about it. Beautifully weighted, Beautifully finished, and long may his success continue.
Thank you very much for that, boys. Yeah, Jason Kanté brilliantly on the money with that, and the amount of things that Callum Hudson-Odoi we've seen from him, that we've seen from him do this season already, he's been sensational. He really has, hasn't he? I'll tell you what. Let's hear from in fact, that we're just going to get them ready because Jason and Ben are getting ready. It's a bit nippy up there today.
They get the lunch in.
He's got the heated socks on and everything like that. It takes a while. Heated gloves. You can't always pick the mic up. Yeah. It's quite difficult for all that. But yeah, they're ready for us now. So time to hand over to Jason Kanté and Ben Andrews.
So, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Jace.
Yep.
He's had to wait a while, but he's got a chance now.
Yes.
And he's got a chance because so many forward options have been out, but now he's saying, I've got that shirt, I want it.
Well, opportunity knocks, and then sometimes when it does, you absolutely have to take it, especially at a club like Chelsea. Look, we've seen Timo pick up an injury, Lukaku has. So it's over to you, Havertz and Callum. And I have to be honest with you, the way that he has adapted and taken his opportunity, I've been really impressed with. We know how good he is. We know exactly what he's got under the bonnet, but we've seen it sporadically. Why? Because he's young, you know, he's inexperienced and he's still learning his trade. But I have to say, the games that he's come in and he's had an impact in, it's been a big impact. Think about the goals that we've just seen. Norwich here, the first goal of the game had an impact. Newcastle away, first goal of the game had an impact. Malmo away, the only goal of the game, had an impact. So those three goals, the most important goal, as I just said, is the first goal. He is affecting games that change the course of the game.
Which is a massive deal, and we haven't seen him doing it for quite a while. I'd actually say the only other time he's really had a run in the side, and where you thought was actually around the same time that Ruben did, when Sarri was in charge in that spring in the Europa League run around there, where Callum and Ruben were having an effect on games, and both of them were starting to be picked ahead of more senior names on merit. And I kind of feel like for Callum, in the strictest, harshest possible way, he had to do it this season, didn't he? He had to somehow force his way in and go, don't forget about me, I can do this. And he is doing it.
Competition for places in those areas is fierce. Pulisic has been out injured for a while, so he's another one that we're looking to say, hi, I'm here as well. But when opportunity does present itself, you've got to take it, especially at a club like Chelsea, and he's doing that. And he's doing it with aplomb as well. We're not just talking about, you know, the third or fourth goal in a game. We're talking about high impact, the very first piece of skill or impact in a game that really, really matters. And he's doing that. I think there's still a lot to go. Of course, he's still young and he's still learning his trade. Look at Sancho at Manchester United. Can't get in the starting, can't find him with the radar. I don't quite know how. When opportunity comes, he's taken it. The most important thing that I've seen about him now is that he seems to have grown. There's an elevation in him. You know, he's a little bit taller. The chest is coming out a little bit further. He's now saying, give me the ball. I can make an impact. That is absolutely crucial.
Post-international break, it goes Leicester, Juve, Man United. Different level of oppo, really, to Malmo, Norwich, Burnley, Newcastle. There might be one or two back. You know, Mason will presumably healthier. He's on the bench today, by the way, and folks, but, you know, Werner and Lukaku coming back into the mix. Kovacic in midfield, which bumps other people around a bit. That's the thing, isn't it? He's then got to, A, keep the shirt, and if he can, B, do it against top oppo like Juve and Man U, as well as Norwich and Burnley.
I buy all of that, and you're absolutely right. But what you cannot say now is that he hasn't taken his chance. So that he's now put himself in the front window. Because I think there have been moments in the past, and he's not alone, but I've seen players given an opportunity when there have been injuries, maybe a suspension, maybe a lack of form, and they haven't quite taken it. What you cannot say that Callum hasn't done is made the maximum use of his opportunities. And you can't do any more than what he's done. I think he's been excellent. You know, that's the reason that we chose him as piece of analysis, is because he has taken the opportunity and ran with it and had an impact on games. Are they the biggest games in our season? No, the Malmo goal, by the way, don't underestimate that. That's probably the biggest impact. And the pass, had that been De Bruyne, as I said in the piece, or Hazard, we would be sitting saying, what a brilliant pass, a world-class pass. So the penny might be starting to drop with Callum. Do not forget how tender he is in terms of age. Let's always remember that. But he's put himself in the front window, and that's all you can ask.
Just been having a little spar on him down there, him and Jorginho just having a chat and a cuddle. And we'll be having a look at a bit more of the warm-up shortly. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, boys. Brilliant. Let's have a little chat about Burnley then, boys, because you know they're a very good side, Sam. We know they are. Zach's already mentioned. Chris Wood's, I suppose, the headline maker because him and Maxwell Cornet, we think, is going to play up front with him today. They've got a very good partnership up front. Wood is I don't think he gets the credit for how good a footballer he really is. People think he's just a kind of lump it forward, win the headers, but he's not technically. He's a very, very tidy, clever footballer. Cornet has been a breath of fresh air for him, and they do pose a real threat this afternoon. You know, their league position is, I suppose, a little bit false because you know they're well organised. You know they're probably going to get out of trouble because they do it year in, year out, and they're a very good side, and they cause us problems here quite regularly.
Yeah, and I think Sean Dyche has done a really good job at Burnley. Like Zach, I'm not like the biggest fan of Burnley and the style of football that they play, but it works for them. And Sean Dyche has also been able to get a team that listens to his philosophy and his ideologies. And it's like you can almost see that they're always playing for him, which is always nice to see in modern day football. So I think they're definitely going to cause us problems. We know what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and get it to Wood. They're going to try and be dominant, physical. And I think that's why Tuchel has played certain defenders over others. But I think if we're able to weather the storm, because there's going to be those storms, and there's always storms against Burnley, but if we get an early goal or we're just able to weather that, then I think we'll be fine.
See, I suppose it's that one, isn't it, Zach? Like Sam's saying, you know what to expect from them, but not from a lazy perspective. You know they're going to be physical because that's what they bring, and it's in their arsenal, and it'd be, I suppose, a bit remiss of them not to use that because that's where they're better than a lot of teams in that aspect. But technically, like Sam said, they've added an element with Maxwell Cornet. Chris Wood's a very technically good footballer. Set pieces are going to be interesting today. Do you think that's maybe why, again, like Sam's alluded to, why they've gone for a back three, Chelsea, of Christensen, Rudiger and Thiago Silva? I suppose experience in the air as well. You've got a little bit more, I suppose, a little bit more power than if Aspi was in the back three, for example. Yeah,
no, for sure. And I think, especially when they've got McNeil as well, who's a very good set-piece taker for them. I think it's about being aware. I mean, obviously, you're missing out on the likes of Lukaku, who would have been brilliant for a defensive set-piece as well in this case. And so Kai Havertz isn't actually too bad in the air. He can do the job and help out. But I mean, the thing is, like, if Chelsea are playing at their very best, like they beat a team like Burnley, that is how it is. The only issue is Burnley can make it a frustrating game. It's about having patience with Burnley and waiting for the opportunity to come and taking the opportunity. Nick, I'm not too sure if Nick Pope is playing today. I've missed that, but he's a very good goalkeeper as well. But Chelsea have the ability to if they can score an early goal and then they can start frustrating Burnley instead of being frustrated. There have been many times where you've seen Burnley play other teams. I think I specifically remember last season against Liverpool where they went out 1-0 winners at Anfield, and the whole game they'd frustrated them and managed to get a goal and kind of towards the end of the game. And it's about trying to control the game. And okay, if it is half time and it's 0-0, and we've been in that situation this season, not getting frustrated with yourself, believing, okay, we've got the right assets, we can look to the bench if needed and bring them on and change the game in some way, shape or form. And Thomas Tuchel seems to do that really well. Newcastle last week, right? Waited until half time, told Reece James, push up more, get into that box. He scores 2, we win 3-0. So I trust Thomas Tuchel to, if it is getting frustrating, we do need a bit of patience to make sure that we can change it if needed.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, obviously, there's a lot of Chelsea chatting here. Time to get the Burnley perspective from behind the Burnley camp, in behind enemy lines.
Hi, my name's Chris, I'm a Burnley fan. Coming down to the bridge tomorrow. Hoping for a good contested game, to be fair. We've had a decent set of results at the bridge over the years. Stretching back to the cup game where we won on penalties, and then who can forget the game we were 3-0 up at half time to hold out for a 3-2 win. And we've had some draws in there as well, famously when Jose Mourinho the day after made sure that he went on goals on Sunday to talk about a particular red card. I think bizarrely against Chelsea we seem to struggle more at home than away against them, although I am expecting a really difficult game tomorrow. I think that Chelsea are the best team in the league. I think they've got the best squad in the league. I know Liverpool are firing at the moment, but I do think when Chelsea have got everybody fit, they look a force to be reckoned with. I'm particularly happy tomorrow that Lukaku will be missing, Werner will be missing. I think Werner's off the ball plays really impressive, even though he doesn't score so many goals. That said, I think Pulisic always plays well against Burnley. He's particularly played well at Turf Moor against us, and I'm worried about him starting tomorrow. On the Burnley side, I think we've looked really good so far this season. I think the results haven't really been what the performances have warranted. I think we've lost 12 points from winning positions, and even if we'd have won half of those points, say, we'd have been up in 12th in the league. I think we need to continue to shore it up at the back, get better defensively, and keep building on that offensive play that we've done better this season. I think Maxwell Cornet's come into the side, giving us a different dimension. He's got a particular eye for goal. He does things that other midfielders and strikers in the team won't do. He will. His instinct is to shoot, whereas sometimes our instincts otherwise are to pass it sideways and try and fashion a crossing opportunity. Hoping Chris Wood can build on his goal scoring as well tomorrow in the air. I think he'll be particularly difficult to challenge for Chelsea. Hoping for a really good game overall, though. Difficult game. Hoping that we can come away with a draw, but if not, then a close defeat. Don't want to be on the end of things like 5-0 like we used to get at Man City, so I want to try and keep it tight as much as possible.
Now, Trivago brings the world of travel and football together to offer epic experiences for Blues fans, and every month they've been giving you guys the opportunity to win incredible prizes. The end-of-year countdown is on, and the festive season is about to begin, and to celebrate this month, Trivago are offering a getaway of champions that brings together the best of football, Chelsea and London during the holiday season. You can win 2 nights stay and travel to London for 2 people, match day in the Trivago suite at Stamford Bridge, a behind-the-scenes tour of the stadium, and a meet and greet with a Chelsea legend. Plus, you'll get to enjoy London food and shopping during the festive season, with some spending money to go with it too. There are 5 grand prizes up for grabs. So while the team here are warming up for the game against Burnley, why not head on over to trivago.co.uk/ChelseaFC to enter. The promotion is open until midnight on November the 21st. Fans must be over 18 to enter. Terms and conditions apply.
Good work, and thank you to our Burnley fan as well. I like the fact he said that Chelsea got the strongest squad in the league.
Yeah, I love that.
I like that. It's nice, isn't it, when you get the respect you deserve? Like, it's true. Obviously, on today, Zach, it's important to get the 3 points. I suppose that's the most important thing. The team that's selected, like we said, if needed, if the change are needed, is it mostly a patient kind of approach that you'd expect?
Yeah, look, if we can get into it and score an early goal, like, we're laughing, to be quite honest, because any team that's then trying to sit back, the game plan's just not going to work if we're 1-0 up. And so, yeah, if we can get something within the first 15 minutes, I think we'll be happy. I don't think that is probably what's going to happen. I probably more so agree with Sam that, like, maybe something might happen towards the end. I wouldn't be surprised if at half-time we're sitting here and it's 0-0 and it's been frustrating. But I mean, I'd also, with the Ross Barkley effect, I'm really hoping he has a good game and kind of shows and gets that kind of like second chance that he's been wanting. So maybe he might do something and we could be 3-0 up by half time.
Like Ben was saying a little bit earlier, Sam, as well, we've got a really tricky run off the back of the international break where you've got Leicester, Juventus and Manchester United in the space, I think, 8 days, I think it is. But Chelsea aren't as reliant on one specific player, and usually when it comes to before international break, off-air we'd all be going, please don't get injured. Like, please give Mason 10 minutes and that'll do him. Give Reece 10 minutes and that'll do him. Please, Lukaku, don't pick up a knock. And obviously, we're always thinking that. But Thomas Tuchel's shown he's got 25 players that he can select from, 25 players he trusts. And even when we've rotated it, so many players that are doing it.
Yeah, and I think this period has even given us more confidence with the fact that Lukaku and Werner have been out and we've been able to score that many goals, and as usual the defence are keeping clean sheets. So when those players come back in, it's going to be looked at like a bonus, not like you need to rush them back. We see Pulisic, he got a few minutes midweek and that was so good to see, but it's also good that the fact that he's not being rushed into getting back. He doesn't have to start. He can really get embedded back into the squad, get minutes here and there, and just feel comfortable in himself. And that's one thing that we've had in previous seasons where we've had players that we over-relied on and then we've seen what it's done to their bodies. So I'm very confident going into that into those fixtures, because I think the team will know how important those games are and they'll treat it like they've been treating these games. Just go into the game, try and get 3 points and try and play as a unit.
I don't want to dig other teams out, and obviously that's not what we're about, but like Sam said there, you look at other teams that don't have that luxury, and they have to rush back key players, and then you see kind of an over-reliance on a player that perhaps isn't fully fit or perhaps is still, feeling something or not quite ready to play. like Sam said, Chelsea don't have to do that. They don't have to rush players back. If they're not fully fit, if they're not ready to go, you can manage the players' health as well as the team's needs. And if you've got that inner balance, we have, probably Manchester City have, maybe Liverpool to an extent, but arguably we're in a better shape than the rest of them squad-wise, and not an over-reliance on one specific individual.
Yeah, I'd say literally only City, to be quite honest, have that same level as us, and that's why I think towards the end of the season you might see us and City maybe stretch away from Liverpool. That's not to say Liverpool are good. I think Liverpool are fantastic. But look what happened last season. Van Dijk got injured, and their season, even though they did manage to get into the Champions League places in the end, they finished very strongly. But for a large period of their season, it was quite affected because they didn't have the Joe Gomez also got injured, right? And then they didn't have the same kind of level of we do on our bench and on the reserves that can come into it and step up. Like you think about it, if Mohamed Salah got injured for them tomorrow or whenever it may be, don't wish injury on anyone, but if he did, it could affect them really badly. Our £98 million striker got injured, and it's not been a bad thing. And the idea that, OK, when he's back and firing, we're going to be even better. Like, it's not easy. Like, not many teams are in that position. And as I said, only maybe us and City.
Absolutely right, and that's exactly it. You know, Lukaku's a great example. You know, he's one of the best centre forwards in world football. You know? And we're sat here talking about a player that makes any team in world football better when he's in it. But you are going, it's only when he's fit and when he's ready. You know, it's not fair to put him in a position where he comes back too soon and you're risking further injury, because he's so important to us going forward. We've managed to get through games comfortably, scoring 10 goals in that. You know, and that's the position we're in. So I'm going to put it on you firstly. Is Kai Havertz going to score today?
He has to. I genuinely...
For our FPL alone.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's getting in those positions. He's being relentless in that sense.
Really
where
he deserves it.
He deserves a goal, do you know what I mean? He deserves goal contributions because he's having to do that work for the team.
Absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. Well, it's time now to hand over to our commentary team. Chelsea at home, Stamford Bridge. Bit of a fortress. We're up against Burnley. And your commentary team of Jason Cundy and Ben Andrews will be with you shortly.